Artist SEAK Claus Winkler. I don't know in which direction this video goes. I don't know how to put this here because this is probably where I'm speaking inside. Yeah, I don't know in which direction this video goes. So if I'm uploading this video, I'm still alive, or I was alive when uploading the video. This video is about art. Don't get any thoughts about my attire here. I'm just in the process of losing weight without the healthy way, with eating proper. So plus, if this is too attractive or not keeping you in your corner, I could wear also a button shirt, but I'm too lazy to take a look in the cabin, in my clothing cabin. Anyway, so I don't know which direction this video goes. It's about art. Yeah, I just rehang those canvases, paintings here in my room. And I'm having here also my sketchbook, or one of my sketchbooks. Yeah, the deeper layers of art. I mean, when I developed my painting style here in the 90s, and I mean also in like my childhood and my youth, I wasn't really so aware of going into the depth with everything, and you need like a certain stubbornness and a certain not caring, or I don't know, like healthy autism or roughness, or like muting down your senses in a way when you paint like wall paintings with this style. But because it's like jumping into cold water, you know. It's also like when you paint like with the spray can, the first strokes on a wall, you have to jump over a barrier. Not just because you're anxious about what you're painting, but also on a social level. But on the other hand, you're kind of like changing and programming the matrix, because everything which is happening, I mean, we just reckon like just a few percent of our perception is what we consciously reckon, and the rest is just unconsciously. And when we change the surface of something and we are painting something, we are basically programming ourselves and others with that, which is interesting. So yeah, and the longer I'm painting, I mean, now I'm 52 or 51. I think I'm 52, 51. Yeah, and I'm painting since I can think, or draw, or you want to call it. The more I learn about the depthness of painting, or going deeper, and the layers and the meanings and the things, like, or say, looking at someone and knowing what the inside color of his jacket is, and that those color combination as well with the color combination of the outside of the jacket, and how I'm like digesting that on a social, historical context, steers my micro impressions, and that creates a reaction in the other person, even though when I've not even didn't saw the inside of the jacket. I'm just giving you like a simplified example from my youth. Or I don't know, like me watching books about like an historic war, and then having an interaction or a fight with my parents, because I'm putting the thoughts and the energy and the memorizing what I've just read or watched into my parents or my father, and he's like taking up that energy and thinking it's its own thoughts. I mean, you know, am I passive aggressive there? I don't know, probably not. On the other hand, I guess my mother was the benefactor of that energy, because she then, you know, as a woman becomes the sexual energy, the intimidate energy from him then, because he's so engaged afterwards, la-di-da-di-da. So, but of course, me being the one who's like keeping the relationship together with that frequency, is not getting the benefit as well as not getting any props for it or anything, you know. It's like, you know, and if you go deeper in your realization how things are steering things, yeah, I mean, you're also recognizing that you maybe not then the one who's benefiting from it. Like, for example, when I was a child, I was going. My mother was putting everything in the cabins, in the Schränke, and in the boxes, Schubladen. I don't know the English word for it, where you put like socks and underwear and everything. Like, she made like everything really accurate and tidy and precise, you know, and folding everything. And I was going behind her and making everything crazy and everything durcheinander, like making like a mess and with my hands, blah blah blah. And she was going there again. Till she said like, I must be stupid, like doing like this, blah, blah, blah. The point is, on a subconscious level, I mean, if you have like textile, folded textiles and everything, it's like literally like the female organ, you know? Like say when you're a painter, you have like these things, and then, you know, in paintings, you know, let's pretend not to play stupid for a while, you know, and not be like boomer truth. This is like the female organ, you know, of course, you know, so you can learn like how the Flemish primitives or in the Dutch Golden Age, or probably also in Roman times, so people painting with that. The more stifled, conservative society was, the more they were communicated with that, because you have to give people an insight point. Or for example, if you have a conversation, someone's holding like a glass or champagne glass, it's kind of like the condom or the male liquid, you know, frozen in a way, and then in a round shape, it has like, yeah, rather a son is born or like a daughter is born, or someone, you know, from the rectum, or drinking, you know, and oral, or like someone is like in conversation holding something like this, and it's like imitating like that the other person can speak and has like on a subconscious abstract level a whole visible where one can like intrude in, so the other person, not because it wants to have sex with the other person, but because if you want to really talk like with precision and with intensity, you need like a visual anchor which takes up your sexual sublime energy. So and there's maybe so like each culture has then also different nuances how to handle that. So me putting everything in the boxes where my mother was keeping like the underwear and towels and handkerchiefs and all kinds of stuff and shirts and whatever, tied together, and I'm like making a mess and going through it. I'm kind of like pre-priming her that later in the evening when my father is back at her, he is like making a mess and everything crazy and durcheinander, I say that in Germany, like everything all together and mixed, blah, 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 in her, you know. It's like women are talking with certain men, not just to heat them up, but also then to go into the city and get then from this universe, because they have memorized that energy and that type of guy in their face, because we have here like optical telegraphs. You know, those telegraphs the Prussians had after Napoleon, to get informed in like an hour or two if the Prussians are if the French come over the Rhine, so Berlin would know what's going on. They had like an optical telegraph system. We have that system here in our eyes. Around all these muscles here, we have more muscles here than on the rest of the body. So you can basically program yourself onto something, also with your breathing, with everything else, with your thoughts, with your energy. Yes, also with like lying and everything, you know, touching this, like that. And then you can go inside, you can go maybe somewhere else, and then you get that energy with certain people, you know. So, and I did that literally on a subconscious level, so my mother gets more action out of my father. Maybe I wanted also that I get I'm getting another sibling, like a sister or a brother, but that wasn't physically possible. That's the story. So, yeah. Yeah, and then there we have art. So what is art? You know, it's like, is art the blanket or the bed, or you know, or because it's like a mattress in a way, you know. It's like one people or two people are laying here, or is it a grave? Was it like the property? And if they are like multiple layers, what does these layers project on the subconscious level? Because, for example, I reckon that you don't have to, if you want to program people on something, you just have to put in certain simple forms, which doesn't have to be on a conscious level, be identified. Oh, this is that, or this is this. It's interesting. You just need like very simple forms, and that's already enough. So the brain takes it up, and it's like, I mean, it's. And this is just one of a lot of things I've reckoned when in the last years or decades, if you will. So this is like a value I can communicate. And maybe I should communicate here. On the other hand, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power: never tell your secrets or your tricks because they will use it against you. And if I'm thinning down the content, nobody will follow. On the other hand, I mean, I also have to be honest, it's also a process, you know? By the way, this says the word seek in the background, or the word Liebe or love in German. Remember, real love always involves hate, because you have to defend real love with hate. So, anyway, this is like a fly flying here around, it's like, the point is, for me, like talking about my art, or explaining it to others, I'm also, or art in general, or perception, or the sublime, and those hidden layers, which we don't recognize on our on our NPC and blue pill effects, reflex, energy, just when we go like on a deeper level. It's an interesting journey. And I can also experience that with collectors. I'm saying collectors because I'm an artist, and if you want to waste my time, I'm just arrogant, I'm not wasting time, but you have to bring something substantial to the table, because otherwise, so what I also want to say is, it's not that I'm above something, or like, of course, I'm always dropping the soap. This is like part of my energy has been SEAK Claus Winkler. And this is not meant in a political way, or is it? I mean, I don't know. We can't talk about that. I mean, I'm not saying anything about that. Not in Germany, not in. I mean, yeah, you know the story. Anyway, with my collectors, art buyers, people who invest in my art, I can have conversations about art and about the sublime or everything. I probably would like to have it more often, but often it was in the past superficial. Interesting, like the people when they bought a painting, I didn't have so much interaction with them. I don't know why. Maybe my art suggests that, or my name suggests that. Maybe the process of creating art and that laboratory realization frequency and being on a fantastic journey of experiencing how the sublime works and how I'm steered by the universe, or I can steer the universe back, is a different thing than rich people buying some decoration or some art for investment for whatever reason, for all the right or wrong reasons, and then it doesn't go deeper. I don't know. Maybe my name suggests that. The question is also how do they benefit from it, and how do they? Probably if I would talk with them in an art context, how it can steer or enrich them, the knowledge or how they can use the paintings, that would make sense. But often it is also ego involved. I remember collectors or art buyers where I was then sometimes I was also in the ego for some stupid reason. It was like, then So, but with that aside, where I like had a realization, it's like, okay, my paintings can deliver on something on that level for you too. And then they didn't believe me, and they were like overwhelmed or in the ego that someone thinks that far. Not that I don't know where they're talking about, that happened never to me, of course. Yeah, this is like ego, like the other is more thinking more further or more than oneself. Yeah, it also happened to me, it's like me, so yeah, you have the answer. Plus, sometimes a painting also needs to sit down and till a hunch comes where it will take people. Yeah, is this already enough information or like knowledge, which is like has some kind of value, or is this just blah 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 what I'm doing here? I don't know. I mean, in Germany, I would have spoken a little bit different. The question is, I mean, at the moment, I'm talking a lot about this, like the things we can't talk on YouTube, otherwise we get deleted or something, or hardcore shadow banned. And this painting is from 2003, and I can interpret it on this level. And where I would say that I was the sublime, the subliminal was talking to me, and I wasn't getting it. So yeah, or understanding it. Yeah. So depends on also how the painting is looking. When a painting has a certain depth, not depth in terms of like I can't hear or I can't speak. I mean in terms of like deepness. Deep art. Layers, layers, layers. Visual layers, not just like some PR talk, then a lot of people can't handle that because they then see things about themselves and it goes and connects on a deeper level with their psyche or with the other person's psyche. So let's talk about now I'm filming myself without being able to see myself here. This is my sketchbook, one of my sketchbooks. So, yeah. Is it visible? Yeah. It's Seitenverkehr. The tides are changed. So we see it here. This says SEAK, but I think it says different on the. It's different. Anyway. So let's talk about my art, the sublime, and the me. Let's say if one thing I can tell about art is, or about perception and learning and going on to the deeper level is, and that's an essential, and there we also again at politics in a way, or at framing and how about the matrix we are living in is working. You can't judge. The moment you judge something, and judging is also a form of rationalization, if you will, it creates a fog bank, like where you can't see any more through. It's like a curtain, with a fog curtain, and then it's gone. Then the further, deeper realizations are gone. The word seek with all the E, like E in terms of disgust, you have to break through there, like it's like if you, I don't want to use any graphic examples. So you basically have to go further and further, and I don't even know if that's possible when you have clients who are buying my art. If that's possible, because maybe at some point they kind of freak out, or they don't want to believe it because they're in the ego, or they want to be the superior. So maybe I should just keep my mouth shut and just tell them the painting. I don't know. It depends also. I mean, just like enjoy intelligent conversations and new perspectives and how things are working, you know. And I see patterns where I say, oh, interesting, this painting was here, there, and then 5 years later I'm doing this. Is that a surprise or a coincidence, you know? It's similar to my childhood, you know. I can see patterns, I can reverse engineer or deduct back to certain things, and then there might be not the entire reason why I did this or did that, but it's just one reason out of many, you know. That's also something that you have to consider. Yeah. And the more you learn about colors and forms and meanings and color meanings and composition, the more you learn how we are steered and influenced by what we are seeing and how we perceive things, and how our subconscious is seeing things. Yeah, and also like how others are using oneself to their benefit, especially when there's like a pattern involved. There's this term I also learned, I think from Robert Greene, success leave clues, you know, success in any shape or form. And then I go into the depth of it and like analyzing it. And that's like, I never studied art in a classical way, but I'm studying what's working, what's practical. Yeah, and that kind of like goes a long way. And of course, that makes people who have like some kind of classical knowledge like freak out or get anxious, or because then you because maybe they're in truth in a competition with you and see themselves as superior, as more educated, and of course that's ego investments. But also sometimes cultural connotations can lead to different perceptions, as well as like letters. Like I often see or I saw words or names just from a letter perspective, and from how it can work in the subliminal mind on a negative way on the psyche, and not from what the official term means. Let's say words which come from Latin or something, or words or names which have a historic context. And then, of course, like how much of what I'm doing is I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing, while people who are much better with words, which can't be named here, of course, but you know who, they kind of like created a matrix I was born into, where even when I'm thinking I'm in a rebellion for something against something, I'm behaving exactly how they want me to behave. For example, this book, Unser Jahrhundert in Bild, Our Century in Pictures. Bild means also a bill, you know, and there's money involved, and because the West isn't after 1945 stopped being free. You know, banking system, Federal Reserve. So instead of the cover was, I talked a lot about this book in the past here, and it has. The point is like in terms of like that the Germans should build something, but building means also like creating like art, but also build in German, English is like. A bill of rights, or like a bill in terms of like an invoice. So it's like I'm reading the word build, which means in Germany an English picture or painting or image, but on a phonetic level, it's a suggestion to people who understand English to build something, to put something in an invoice, you know, to make a deal. To regulate things with finances. And the painting there, it showed, and the cover of that book showed like the Emperor Wilhelm II, and there's Waffen als Leibstandarte, you know, in the middle, marching, and then on the right side was like a rocket for the Germans already built for the Americans, which still had that like V1, V2, like V-weapon look, you know, like it was looked like late 50s or something, or no, beginning 50s, I don't know. The point is, then it said like Unser Jahrhundert in Bild, like our century in pictures. So it's like a just seeing this as an artwork, but then because then like decades later, I'm sitting also on a mountain of pictures, which has like kind of like Emperor II as Waffen as Leibstandarte rocket vibe, as well as the cover from the text of that book, Unser Jahrhundert in Bild, like our century in pictures or in images, as well as I have this like Bill, phonetically Bill term in my name, because Winkler in Dutch means the small trade, the small business. So and I can go on and on and on and on, you know. So how, because this book basically programmed me. But it also kind of like amplifies, and this is like clever wording, you know, because it was written in the 1970s. That was like before the old 68er, the leftists, who were completely without any help of the certain people, or slash the CIA, of course, went into the system and kind of indoctrinated everything without any help or suggestions from other, you know, of course. That book is like a piece of art itself, if you want to see it like that, in terms of like seeing a double meaning level, you know. And it drills, because it's like a thick book like this, black and white cover, but the lettering is kind of like red, maybe red orange, but it's like red on white. And then and I also have color pictures inside. So the point is, this, and I was reading this book here in the room below, in the room below. So this book programmed me into becoming an artist, you know. It's crazy, you know, and on a subliminal level, you know, and I can do that with a lot of other things too. Maybe that's not a conversational opener for clients, or for art clients or art collectors, because they may be then overwhelmed, or I'm overwhelmed. But this is like one perception, and then this book is like a clever copyright, because for some time I thought, yeah, I mean, it's a great book. It mentions the Bolsheviki, Leon Trotsky, of course they don't name to what percentage the Bolsheviks were from, you know, or which group, you know, of course. But the thing is, the word build already implies like image, then, or to build something. Germans should work, building, you know, it's what Germans are doing. But also it shows the term, the bank aspect, the financial aspect, in terms of like banking system and the invoice, you know, because a bill is, it's a bill of rights, but it's also, a bill is like also like a word for, yeah, you do a service, this, that, you get money, you get a bill, you get an invoice. So, yeah, and then, I mean, just like Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein or Iraq or many other countries, Germany were disconnected from the banking system, you know. So, plus it kind of like includes already how far Whitey wakes up. Because at some point, you know, the pattern always repeats. Because when the times get harder, then everything must be regulated with money, you know, with bills, and that means, nothing changes, you know. So, how smart? And if you see that as an art perspective in terms of depth, this is just one perspective, you know, because. How is art working? And I mean, every painting looks different, obviously, and it's not planned, and there are so many levels. And then the artist's name itself is there, and then art can be framed. Oh, this is like evil, bad, blah blah blah. In Germany, we are now here. Yeah, I don't want to even talk about that. It's there's like no more. Everything in the system from the leftists must be like eingeordnet. Everything must be framed and labeled and nudged, and people are mentally degenerating. It's and they take and the people, it's like this group. Watch other videos. There's enough on Telegram and on YouTube, you know, who to follow and what to watch. You know, the point here is, this going into depth, into deepness, and with the deeper levels of perception and how things go. Yeah, that's like something which interests me, and because it demands like a full honesty, and if you can handle or if you can accept that ego death and the illusion of what is like steered from us and what our own thoughts and what are steered into us, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully I could give some, say something interesting here. Just to show you here. So, yeah, see you on the next video. And yeah, if you have any suggestion on the sublime, on how forms or anything works without we are knowing it, or I'm doing something, painting something, and I don't even know that this affects me like this or like that. I'm always like interested in a hint or anything, which I can then go on and light that, or like put like limelight on it and like watch deeper on it and then reflect on it, and yeah, and have some growth, you know. Thank you for your support and everything. See you in the next video.